Diplomatic tug-of-war, progress and challenges at the Munich Security Conference. On February 14, 2025, the Munich Security Conference became the stage for critical diplomatic efforts to resolve the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. In a highly anticipated announcement, U.S. President Donald Trump revealed the scheduling of a high-level meeting in Munich. The meeting, set to involve senior officials from the United States and Russia, included an invitation for Ukraine to participate. However, Ukrainian authorities indicated they would abstain from direct talks with Russia during the event. Their steadfast approach reflected a broader strategy of working closely with Western allies to build a unified front before engaging in any negotiations. This move by Ukraine highlights the delicate balancing act at play as the nation navigates both its sovereign aspirations and its reliance on Western support in addressing the geopolitical realities of the conflict. Ukraine's refusal to negotiate directly at this conference sends a clear signal that unity with Western allies remains essential as it resists Russian aggression. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a productive meeting on the sidelines of the conference. In what Vance described as a fruitful discussion, the two leaders focused on the need to achieve a real and guaranteed peace for Ukraine. Emphasizing shared goals, these talks underscored the continued partnership between the U.S. and Ukraine amidst the war with Russia. The Biden administration has remained a pivotal backer of Ukraine since the conflict began, and this meeting reinforced that resolve. However, the diplomatic tone of the conference signaled that achieving lasting peace would require navigating not only the U.S.-Ukraine alliance, but also the broader geopolitical landscape. With the war showing no signs of immediate resolution, this dialogue further solidified the commitment of both nations to a credible and sustainable peace process. While these bilateral discussions between U.S. and Ukrainian leaders were unfolding, European leaders voiced their unease over Washington's approach to peace talks. Many European officials expressed concerns about the perceived lack of coordination with European allies, fearing that any potential concessions to Russia might undermine collective Western interests. For European leaders, a strong and unwavering alignment between the U.S., NATO, and EU member countries remains paramount. Their concerns reflect deeper anxieties about the long-term implications of U.S. strategies in handling Russian aggression and ensuring European security. This sentiment highlights the importance of maintaining trust and cohesion among Western allies. Europe's fears of being sidelined stress the need for more transparent and consultative approaches to avoid fractures in the fragile alliance that supports Ukraine. Adding to the geopolitical complexity, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi called for all stakeholders in the Ukraine conflict to engage in the peace process. His remarks emphasized the critical role of Europe in achieving long-term stability. China's position reflects the broader global stakes in the conflict and reiterates its support for a multilateral solution. While Beijing's involvement in the Ukraine crisis has often sparked debates about its motivations, its diplomatic overtures signal a recognition of Europe's central role in resolving the conflict. However, such calls also serve as a reminder of the need for inclusivity in diplomatic discussions, especially as Ukraine, the U.S., and Europe weigh their next steps in bringing about peace. This appeal for global cooperation could broaden the scope of the peace process, but also poses risks of contradictory agendas, especially given China's complicated relationships with both Russia and the West. Its role as a mediator remains contested, but its influence cannot be ignored as the crisis unfolds across the international stage. The Munich Security Conference presented a snapshot of the intricate web of diplomacy required to address the Ukraine conflict. The summit was marked by overlapping national interests, geopolitical strategies, and calls for cohesive action among Western allies. As U.S., European, and Ukrainian leaders debated the best path forward, it became evident that achieving peace would demand more than negotiations. It would require trust and a shared vision among key stakeholders. Important questions now loom large. Is there room for compromise without sacrificing Ukraine's sovereignty? Can Western allies maintain a united front while managing tensions over conflicting approaches? Will global players like China influence the conflict's trajectory or complicate efforts further? The developments at the Munich Security Conference underscore the complex and often fragile nature of international diplomacy. As the war in Ukraine continues to reshape global power dynamics, the importance of multilateral engagement and respect for collective values grows increasingly urgent. For the general public, these discussions reflect not only the stakes for those directly involved, but also the broader implications for global stability and security. In the weeks and months ahead, the outcomes of these high-stakes dialogues will be closely watched. Whether through unified action or fragmented positions, the choices made by global leaders at forums like Munich will have far-reaching consequences for the Ukrainian conflict and the rules-based international order.